Have you ever closed a 5-figure deal with a massive global tech company in under a week? Because I just did. And in this video, I'm not just going to tell you how I did that. I'm going to show you exactly how by pulling back the curtain on my sales process and walking you through it step by step. Real call recordings, real emails, real sales process, no fluff. You'll see how I take a deal from cold booking through discovery to a proposal to closed one in less time than most sellers take to send a follow-up email. And why should you listen to me? Because this isn't theory. This is something I do every single day. I have been a SaaS seller. I now run my own sales training business, teaching sellers how to do exactly what I'm about to show you. Let's not waste any time. Break this thing down. Step 1, the inbound trigger. So on my website, I have a booking form that allows people to book time directly into my calendar using a tool called Chili Piper. Within this tool, it allows the person to write a note about what they would actually like to spend time discussing. In this case, the note said, I have a small team of sales reps selling cybersecurity services. I'd like them to increase our organic sales and help them do so with some training and or coaching. Now, most reps would say that's enough to go off and just roll into that meeting cold, but not me. I don't want to waste any time. This is high intent, someone literally holding up their hand and saying, I need what you sell. So rather than waste the first 20 minutes of the call asking generic questions that I could have Googled the answer to, I did some preparation. That was around 10 minutes of recon looking at the following places. Their website. I wanted to understand what they sell and who they sell it to. The actual prospect themselves. Who are they? What's their title? In this case, the Chief Revenue Officer. I also looked up the team size, the location of each of the team members, and looked for the most recent hire on the team. I also took a quick look to see if we had any mutual connections, any recent posts he made. He wasn't big on LinkedIn, but I did notice that we had one mutual connection called Jeffrey. Why does this all matter? Because when the call started, it enabled me to jump straight into business, allowing me to skip all the basic crap like, where are you based and how's the weather over there, and get straight into the questions that I couldn't get answers to online. And that is when the real call began. I'll cut in some clips of that call so you can see exactly what was going on, and I'll rationalize what I was trying to get to, and I'll tell you why I said certain things.
I don't know if you know Jeffrey Blanc. He's a friend of mine and he referred me to you. I told him, hey, I'm looking for someone to help coach my team a little bit, and he gave me your LinkedIn profile, and I went in there, found your website, and I guess when you're that good, people refer you and you don't know them all.
Well, I just hope I don't have to let Jeffrey down in that case. So right out of the gate, he mentions a mutual connection called Jeffrey, who actually referred him to me. That means this is actually even hotter lead than I first imagined. That's the benefit of building a network and a brand in your space. So I leaned into exactly that, cracked a quick joke and said, well, I saw your inbound form and I was curious, what exactly does organic sales and increasing that mean to you? But I saw your note, you've got a team of sellers selling cybersecurity solutions by the sounds of things, and you mentioned the focus of the coaching would be more focused on organic sales. I was curious, organic sales obviously can mean a lot of things. Like, is that prospecting or trying to work their deals through the pipe? Bring them up to speed a little bit.
Yeah, so a little bit more emphasis. So I'll give you a little bit of background on how we're structured and how it works, right? So as you might know, is a massive multinational conglomerate, right? 300,000 people worldwide, but it's also siloed in the sense that there's a lot of individual companies, right? So we're Cyber, we're a small company within a very large group. So when I mentioned organic, so we have inorganic customers, which is basically the group, right? We're such a big company that they call us and say, hey, we need you for cybersecurity. So we get a ton of inbound from the group, and that's great, and that keeps us busy and stuff. But where I'm finding that my sales team is not doing so good is hunting opportunities outside of the group. And then I asked one of my favorite questions when someone's coming in with some level of intent, can you bring me up to speed? He gave me a bit of a breakdown, and what I essentially heard there was his team is over-reliant on inbounds, RFPs, and is not doing any kind of outbound, and therefore they are dependent on that inbound, and that puts them in a risky space. But I was pretty sure there must be something that's making this more urgent for him today than it has been, in the past 5 years, let's say. So listen to this, and I will extract what I'm hearing. I wanted to know, how do you approach this? Do you have more questions? How does the format work? Is it multiple sessions? What's the cost? Like, just run me through the whole thing. Yeah. So maybe just to briefly recap what I heard, then make sure I'm on the same page as you.
Yeah. You got this team, you're part of which is
a huge company, obviously. That naturally generates some inbound flow, upselling, getting these people renewing once they're in the door, but you're just not seeing much of your team going out and actually finding new customers to try and talk to them. I got that right?
Yeah, exactly. So I want my team to go out and hunt potential customers that need our cybersecurity
What stopped them
services.
from doing that already?
They're doing it, but they're not doing it very successfully, right? The one that I'm having she's been with the company for 15 years. So she's got a good book of customers and she's a good hunter. But with the law, the castle law and all this stuff now, it's like she can't just fire out emails as much as she used to. There's, looking for different solutions. She'll run the floor in events and stuff. But so she's probably the best out of the three, but she could do a little bit more. And then the other two, they kind of sat a little bit on a lot of the inbound leads that are coming in and a lot of the stuff that's coming in from the group. And then if they're meeting quotas, last year they both, they met a quota just from a lot of inbound stuff. They're not really, as pressured or motivated to go out and get and hunt leads. And now I'm saying, hey, you guys need to get more leads. You need to grow this, right? You need to do more. And they're kind of stuck at how do they do this, right? So they can sell, but they're not very good at hunting. Ultimately, do I have the right people in those roles is another, I guess, question I should be asking myself. But I'm wondering if some coaching can help with that as well.
Is the inbound slowed down?
It's slowed down, yeah. And that's why now we're seeing a gap because they're not hunting enough, right?
How bad are we talking?
For example, has a $2 million sales quota, right? Right now is at maybe 150, 200K. So it's gonna be at 10% and we're on month 4 of the year. So a little bit behind. But last year he did almost 5 million with 4 million of that being one massive deal, right? So that kind of skews the numbers too, because he's like, oh, I did over 200% of my quota. But it's like, you got one lead that came in from the group that was a massive project and that kind of blew things out of the water. Quota is 4 million. Last year she did, I think 3.7. She just missed it, but it's because some of the stuff that she had that was supposed to close ended up closing a little bit later. And this year she's at maybe 500K so far. And the year before that she did about 5 million. So she's been pretty consistent. And then his quota is 1.5 million because he's a little bit newer and didn't come in with a book of customers. And he's at 600K right now. So he's the one that's actually doing the best out of the group. But that's also one inbound lead that was like 500K that he got, right? So sometimes one big project kind of skews it. But the problem is, you know how it works, right? The funnel, you got to start with a lot of leads to get a lot of deals, get a lot of proposals, and work your way down. So that's where I'm seeing the issue is I don't see enough leads, I don't see enough pipeline from them that I'm like, if I extrapolate, weighted average, and I look at it, we use HubSpot, and I look at our HubSpot, I'm like, they're not hitting quota with what they have right now. Of course, we'll get inbound leads, they'll get stuff, and then some things will come in, and they'll probably make it. But I'm like, I would feel much more comfortable if they had a bigger funnel.
We don't want to be sat here relying too much on luck. Am I getting that right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So, I mean, last year performance was pretty good across the board. You had a couple typically hits, but it was a little bit under. Exceeded a fair bit, but due to a massive deal that he managed to come in inbound. And then this year so far has done about 600, but that's from one deal. So you're just seeing this potential that
Exactly.
it's a bit too walking the rope. It could go either way too easily right now. So you're thinking outbound might be the way.
Exactly.
How long are the sales cycles generally? Because it sounds like you got some massive deals, like $1 million deal, 500,000 deal. I'm curious just to get a quick
overview of the numbers.
So our smallest deals is probably, we do 10K, like 10K is very, very, very small. And that's usually with an existing customer, repeat business, and you add on some stuff.
Yeah.
The cycle for those can be a couple of weeks, right? The deals that are like, our average deal size, I think, is around 200K.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit shy of that. And that's, I would say, a 3-month sales cycle usually.
Are you measuring close rate on the team?
Yeah, so the close rate is about 18 to 20%. But what's skewing some of that as well is, of course, inbound leads and stuff coming from the group has a much higher probability than like an RFP or something where it's just, more of a cold introduction. So it averages out to about 20%.
Understood. 20%-ish. Do you have an idea of what your pipeline coverage looks like today in terms of what's in total in pipe? I'm more than happy to share some ideas.
Yeah, right now we have 56 million in the pipeline, but that's global, right? So let me see if I can filter out by the Canadian team.
Do you measure Canadian dollars or US dollars, by the way?
We're measuring in Canadian dollars here. We're always converting currency because we ultimately have to put everything in yen when we do our final reports.
Yeah.
And then we're headquartered in Santa Clara in the US, so we do reports in USD. So it's a bit of a mess, but our HubSpot's in Canadian dollars. So if I take the three of them, the Canadian the deals right now, there's $10.1 million in open pipeline.
One at 20%, so 2 million close.
Yeah.
Exactly. If I look at my weighted deal amount, it's exactly at 2.1 million right now, weighted deal amount. And then closed deal amount is about 750K right now, which is about, most of it is, as I mentioned, he did the most so far this year.
So realistic.
Going off napkin math, probably looking at 2 million in the next 3 months-ish based on those numbers. Inbound is drying up. His reps don't know how to prospect. Pipeline coverage, if you do some quick math there, is under 1%. They have a quota of $7.5 million. So far, they've closed $750,000. They only have $2.1 million in pipe. Their average deal length is around 90 days, and their close rate is 20%, which means they are in a very, very, very risky position right now. In other words, they are screwed without outbound. I restated all of this back to him, one, to buy myself some time to do some quick math to figure out what his total pipeline coverage was, but two, to make sure he understood that I was listening to him and build further trust. If someone feels heard and understood, they're more likely to be forthcoming, trust you more, and give you more information. And then when I asked this question, what stopped them from doing outbound so far, that's where the real gold came in, because now I have the problem, but I also have the thing that needs to be solved, which I am positioned to help them solve. So once I'd heard what I'd heard, understood it, recapped it, asked some follow-on questions, we then began co-diagnosing the total gap. Assuming nothing were to change, to be in a safer spot over the next 3 months, if you wanted to be at where you need to be at the 6-month mark, you'd need...
You
It'll be
know,
like over 20 million in pipeline, probably. Like it would have to be at least double the
Yeah.
pipe.
Basically double the pipe, which is no small task, but it's not impossible, because based on the size of your deals, it doesn't sound like actually that many. The quantity of deals isn't that much, it's just they're quite big.
If I look right now, average deal size right now is 120K in this pipeline. So I was saying the average deal that we close is about 200K, but that's because there's always like one big contract that kind of skews everything, right?
there's one of those.
Those 4 millioners that you told me about.
Exactly, that's going to skew the average, right? So right now they added a 10 million. HubSpot's telling me average deal is 119K.
And what came out was they'd need 2 to 3 times more pipeline than what they have today to actually have any chance of hitting quota. And outside of a really lucky streak of inbound, their only way to do so and control that is outbound. But as we said before, they lack the skills, experience, and motivation to do outbound. Now realize that nothing of what we've spoken about so far is about me. It's all about him. This is essentially me and him working together to build the case for actual change, aka needing my services. So when I understood all of that, we were coming up on time. I didn't want to come in with a rushed pitch. I wanted to go away, walk away, think about this, and come to him with a custom solution. This has been remarkably helpful in understanding your team, what you're trying to do, why you're trying to do it, and giving me some ideas. What I'd like to do is walk away and put a bit of a plan or a proposal of how I think I could actually directly help the team. I haven't got like a standard system, especially for a team like of your size, for doing this. And I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that, than me just giving you the same template I gave to anyone else, right? I could give you an idea that generally for cost on a project like this, we're talking maybe a workshop, some playbooks, some targeting. I'd like to look at some of your existing customer data as well. Obviously that would require an NDA as well, but just to try and make sure we're spending our time in the best places, especially when you've got teams who are selling and closing the deals as well. Workshop, I'd probably say 1, 2, potentially 3 sessions per rep as well. So you're probably going to be in the range of like 7 to maybe 15, depending on, I could put some options in there as well, so you can have a look at the budgets. I'll just do that in Canadian, because you are Canadian though. I would have to charge HST. I know it sucks.
That's fine. I mean,
That's a pass through anyway. When I talked to my boss, I talked to him about this. I was like, can I go up to like 10K, right? And he's like, yeah, sure. So that's kind of like the number I had in mind as a budget. So if you can give me some options below that, and then if you have an option with some other extra stuff, you said it might go to 15. If you can break it down so I can see what I could get.
I'll build
and
like
A cheap, moderate pro situation, all out. Honestly, the 15K option, if I was going to go that high, still one person here, so I've got limited capacity and I'd have to like delay at that point. It sounds like this is something you'd rather do sooner rather than later. So I might just keep it to the affordable and the normal option versus trying to.
Yeah, if I have an 8K, I mean, this falls within the budget, and then it gives me a little room, and then we can do something else again later on.
Give me a couple of days to put that together. Could you chat next week? Like, you're in Montreal, so Eastern time at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Monday?
Monday the 28th, you said 1:30 Eastern?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to send me an invite, that works.
So
I'll send you an invite, send you a recap email, and then I'll reply to that recap email with the actual proposal, so you have something to look at before we chat on Monday, and I'll probably get that done this afternoon.
Okay, well, really appreciate it, Will. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate meeting you, and thank you. So what I decided to do was promise a tailored plan and offered it to him the following day, and then booked a follow-up call to regroup on that plan and figure out where we want to go next. Then immediately after that call ended, I sent a recap email summarizing what I'd heard, making sure it all looked accurate, and he replied with a thumbs up. The following afternoon, I sent him a proposal that looked like this. I knew that he had about 10K pre-approved for a project like this, so I gave him a few options, scoping the project one within budget, one way under budget, and one above budget. I made sure that this wasn't hourly driven, it was outcome driven, focused on making sure that I was going to be working with his team to actually close the gap on their skills. Following that, within an hour, he responded giving the green light and introducing me to his legal procurement team. From there, we signed an NDA, they pinged me across the contract, which I spent the weekend looking over. I came back to them with 1 or 2 changes to the payment terms, and then we got that thing signed within a week. That there is a high velocity sale. I did not waste any time beating around the bush, adding extra calls for the sake of adding calls in. I just understood where he was at, understood if there was a problem, understood if I could solve the problem, and then showed him exactly how I could solve the problem. And of course, naturally, due to the size of the problem, he was inclined to move forward as soon as possible. There were a couple of things I could have done better with this sales process. For example, I would have liked to have known what the knock-on effects of missing quota would have been for him and his team. Would it mean firing people, having to hire more expensive reps? Would it mean his boss coming down on him? Would it mean lack of job security for his team or even himself? Those knock-on effects are the real motivator as to why they're going to want to change in the first place. Now, obviously, this seems like a pretty easy deal, but it could have easily gone wrong if I had to just come in and immediately pitch my services. I don't think he would have moved forward. By working with him, I built trust and I fully understood the situation so that I could provide a solution that was more tailored to his needs. And if all this seems overwhelming, you're not really sure how I thought of the questions that I asked him and how I put together the proposal, I've actually included a couple of resources that you can steal in the description of this video. Number one is a proposal template that you can use and customize for your use cases. And the second is a discovery call flowchart, which shows what questions you can ask at what point and why exactly you want to ask them. Check out that link in the description. Hope it's helpful to you. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you in the next one.